Where are you from, sir?
I'm originally from Chicago. I was born in Chicago, Illinois. Grew up about an hour south in Kankakee, Illinois.
Awesome. And what's it like over there in Chicago?
Uh, I've never really cared for the city myself. I had family growing up there, but I'm more of a country guy. Kankakee's a rural area, lots of corn, soybean fields. Got the Kankakee River, lots of native Indian territory. We got Indian caves, our local state park. Spend a lot of time outdoors.
Now, is that something that you see a lot in the culture over there, like the Native American? Like, are there any spiritual connotations that you've noticed as well, like the way it feels and whatnot?
Yes, I regularly go out and I do ancestor veneration with the local natives. The Potawatomis, they're not one of my ancestral tribes, but I still pay respects for growing up here, having business on the land. And it's actually my mixed Afro-Native ancestry that brought me to Haitian Vodou. I started off in the 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗶 path, but I found that when we would do misas and a gungun work, anytime I brought up my natives, who were very prevalent for me at the time, I'd kind of get the side eye of like, that black person that doesn't want to identify with being black, and I'm trying to identify as native, which just simply wasn't the case. It was just who was stepping up for me at the time.
No, and I think that's a great viewpoint as well because even though everything is in Ifa, not everything is Ifa. And, we have ancestors and they had their
Mhm.
traditions. And I always make sure that that's a very focal point within any of my practice, especially with my godchildren, is, you gotta fulfill with who came before you, especially within recent enough memory to know who they are. So you gotta love that. What tribe,
Mhm.
were you able to identify what tribe your ancestors were a part of?
As far as my family told me, they talked about the Blackfoot Nation and
Well,
Cherokee. But as I did my Egungun work, I found out there was Choctaw, Chickasaw, Arawak, and some other southwestern native tribes. My paternal side is a little hazy. I know that there is native on that side. We just don't know for sure what tribes.
no, interesting stuff. A very spiritual people and demographic. I mean, that's all they had before anybody else got here was just them and nature. So really beautiful practice. How did your family end up in that part of Illinois? Where were they from originally, or have they always kind of been there, or settled?
No, my maternal family actually came from Alabama, the Alabama and Mississippi area. My paternal side, my grandfather came from Detroit. He was actually a producer and composer, singer in Motown. His name was
Wow.
Sonny William Sanders. But his mother and her family, they migrated from Kentucky to Michigan.
Interesting stuff. You gotta love Motown. Really, some great stuff that came out of there. Just all that DNA and all that talent, kind of, coming to
Mhm.
you now, especially with the things you're applying them to now spiritually. So you say you started with 𝗃𝗶𝗃𝗃, Fa, and whatnot. At what point do you start delving more into voodoo and learning more about it? And kind of opening your mind to the prospects of practicing it more commonly.
Um, well, my path originally started with Reiki, and my teacher, she and I kind of had like mirrored paths where whatever lesson she was going through, like within 30 days, I'd get hit with the same thing. And she was on the path of Lukumi at the time, and I had some connections with Shango, and my native guys were coming through really intense at the time. They ended up pulling me back to Louisiana to the New Orleans area for a job, and I spent about a year and change practicing Lukumi and doing heavy Egungun misas, that kind of ancestor work, and there's still the native ancestors were very prevalent at that time. So after about a year and change, they kind of shifted me towards Haitian Vodou. which covers most of the west coast of Africa from the north all the way down into the Congo, in combination with the 𝘃𝗵𝗃𝗃, Arawak, Taino traditions that are blended in with all those different African roots.
No, great explanation. Now, completely 101 material. In your opinion, what is voodoo, especially the way you practice it? Like, what is the concept behind it for someone that has no idea?
The concept behind Vodou, the Haitian Vodou that I was taught, um, my original lineage was the Esson lineage. I studied under Mambo Marie Loiseau when I was in New Orleans for about 4 to 5 years. When I finally initiated about 3 years ago now, I did Kanzo into the Asogwe lineage, but I was also initiated into the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 or non-Asan lineage. Those two lineages, they're still Haitian Vodou, but they have their different viewpoints and ways of practicing. The 𝗃𝗃𝗃 lineage is more ancestral and inherited. Either you have Lawaz or you don't. And Lawaz are, um, some of them are forces of nature, somewhat like 𝘃𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃, and some of them are your own ancestors that fit the archetype of like an Ogun or a Dantor, but in Haitian Vodou we call them Ogu, and there are many of them, just like a family name. Whereas the Orisha, you have an Ogun, you have a family or nation of Ogus, and they still embody that same type of warrior energy, fire, iron, very hot spirits, fierce protectors. So there's differences, there's some disagreements between the lineages. The way that I personally practice now, I kind of I don't mix, but I combine my understandings from the two lineages. I focus more on independent study and veneration and focusing on your personal connection with your Lawaz and getting to know them personally, because one person's Lawa may be different from someone else's Lawa simply because of ancestry. And, I teach my students that as well. Like, don't focus on the social aspect of joining a Vodou house, or even if it was Ifa or Lukumi, I still tell them the same thing. Get to know your spirits, what they want from you individually, because what spirits demand from you, they may not ask for someone else. Even something as simple as a food offering, they may ask for something that's somewhat out of character for that Orisha or that Loa, but it may be something they need to do for you personally. So I focus on your personal connection, your understanding of your Loas and how to work with them.
No, beautiful concepts for sure, brother. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because you said a word there that, might be a little foreign to some. So especially, I'd love to get into like the initiatory rank. So you mentioned the Kanzo. If you could
Mhm.
delve into that, I mean, without breaking taboo or anything, and kind of educate what happens there, what's the end result there for somebody if they went through it.
So the word Kanzo is associated with the initiation process in the Asan lineage. It's different for the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 lineage. In the Asan lineage, the Kanzo essentially gives you a charge. It gives you energy within your body to hold spirit, strengthens your connection, brings your lawaz and elevates your lawaz stronger and brings them closer to you. There are some tools you receive depending on the level of Kanzo that you receive. There's Lavetet, which simply means a head wash. It still basically does the same thing. It elevates your ancestors, your Lawaz, brings them closer to you, and gives you energy, gives you charge throughout that ritual seclusion process. Things are done for you outside of the Jevel, which is the term for the place where you're in ritual seclusion and connecting with your spirits while the work is being done. There's Kanzo Supuen, and there's Kanzo Asogwe, which makes you a high priest, a high Ungan for the men, high Mambo for the women. And essentially the different levels and ranks determines basically your status and your function within the house, and even that varies from house to house. Some houses have certain roles for supuens and certain roles for asogways, but one way that I've heard it described, and it pertained to that particular house, was that supuen, ungans and mambos, they should know their metet or their main loa like thoroughly and how to work with them, so that when a client is brought to you or to the house, if they have an issue with that particular loa or their work is needs to be done with that loa, you should go to that supuen that has a specialty in that loa. So if we look at them like doctors, and an aso gwe is like a general practitioner, where a supuen is like a specialist surgeon that focuses in a certain area.
Thank you so much for that, brother. Now, you being a Houngan, what do you consider your specialty, or what steps do you feel you had to take to get there, and what do you think you specialized in your time?
Um, as an Aso Gui, I'm still discovering some of my specialties. They call them Puen. Point in Creole means point. It can literally mean like a point in space, a point or a source of power. And it also fits the definition of like a magic, a consecrated item, or a particular work that's being done. It's a source of energy. Um, Making Puen is one of my specialties. Bringing my artistic skill and my ability to channel the Loas and the things that they want for particular clients. That's one of my specialties, making consecrated items that are associated with a particular Loa. But at this point, teaching, I would say, is one of my strongest Puen. My background academically is actually in engineering. I have a master's in bioengineering
Oh,
from
wow.
Penn State, bachelor's in electronics engineering, and I double majored in physics at Grambling State University. And the spirits would not let me work in my engineering field outside of academia and teaching. And I'm seeing the purpose of that now. It helps me develop curriculum and think about teaching from an academic scientific perspective and bringing that over to the spiritual systems, so that things make logical sense for people, especially people that are new to these practices.
Oh, my brother, your academic credentials are stellar, man. That's very promising. Definitely when, unfortunately, we're stigmatized as being, not modern or not refined. Unfortunately, the things of Africa, being that they are indigenous, they're misconstrued as not being, progressive. So, have you noticed that more educated professionals are gravitating more towards faiths such as, Haitian Voodoo or even, Ifa and things like that? Have you noticed that sway?
Yes, actually, I have. I've had, some associates from when I was in grad school that are reaching out to me, from the past, wanting to know more about what it is that I do. Originally, I got into the ATRs and studying because of that blockage of trying to get into my career. I wanted something more ancestral, something outside of, the physical American system of economy and like trying to get a job to kind of give me some leverage, because I thought it was just me being a black person here in America where the blockage was coming from, but my destiny was much bigger than that. So, coming to that understanding and having gone through that, I've always been helping people academically and through their careers, and navigating, making those kinds of changes in their life. So bringing in the spiritual practice and tying that in so that the work is being done both on the physical plane and the spiritual just makes what I do, even more in alignment and more powerful for the people that come to me for help.
Definitely, and it makes sense why you're so easily able to translate or transition, better said, into the role of teacher, being that the amount of study that you've done even outside of your tradition. So, like I said, very promising. Now, when we talk about loas, right, which is the one that you are identified with, or maybe are stimulating the most at this moment, or interacting with the most?
Um, I would definitely say it's kind of even at this point. There's a lot of Loas that have been coming to me, um, particularly Papa Local at this time, who is the Loa that basically accepts or rejects ungans and mambos when they go for kanzo for initiation. There's a process where you have to go to Papa Local to receive the asan, and he either accepts or rejects you as a priest or priestess. He's been coming to me and giving me instructions on doing things a little differently. Like I said, I have initiation and training in both lineages, and he's wanting me to kind of bring peace and some common ground between the two lineages, where my initiations will be done from the Asan tradition, the process of going into the Jevel, that ritual seclusion, giving people the charge, elevating their ancestors. Everything that's done in the Asan lineage will be done, but from the 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 perspective, they only have one level initiation. You do it, you're an Ongan, you're a Mambo, you just get trained after that and you can practice. Whereas I referred to earlier, the Asan lineage has three different levels of initiation, and anybody that's in ATRs is familiar with the concept of a head pot. So Papa Local has instructed me to do the initiations from the Assam perspective, but allow all of my initiates to keep their head pots so that they are independent. There's no question about being worked or being tied to my house. It's about independence, clarity, and being, open and honest with these initiates, because there's so much going on with people being scammed, being manipulated and suppressed spiritually, especially when, elders want to stay the top dog and they see people's potential and their destiny when they read them, when they're coming for these initiations. Um, just to avoid that um, practice of being unscrupulous and like playing people for money and playing with people's heads. I'm not into that. And the Loas are wanting change. So there's some backlash for that because I've been very vocal on Facebook lately about those things that are done, that's not in the initiates or the student's best interest. So yeah, I'm still pushing forward. I'm doing as the Loas instruct me to do, and these initiations are going to happen.
Nice. No, definitely. Um, I have a question though, because obviously Haitian voodoo, it's very tied back to Haiti. Obviously, have you received any pushback not being a Haitian person and progressing within your spirituality in a way that is so elegant? Have you gotten any detractors because of that?
Oh, most definitely, especially since I'm doing initiations the way that I'm doing. That's not really the traditional 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 way of doing things. They use the fact that I'm not born in Haiti, um, to try to discredit me and to discredit those initiations. But to discredit the way that I'm doing the initiation is discrediting their own process, because I'm not changing the process at all. I'm just allowing people to keep all of their tools, their potets, to allow them to be independent, and to, let people know about those traps of how people end up getting tied for money, tied to houses, controlled and suppressed spiritually, because there are certain things that you can't be told prior to initiation, that can leave you vulnerable to, people trying to steal your laws, people trying to control you for money, putting spirits on you that you're not familiar with for suppression and control. So yeah, I'm definitely receiving pushback, but Papa Local and Aizan, who's his wife or female counterpart to the initiation process, she's also over the Jebel. Um, she gave me specific wording of how to post about these initiations and how to describe them. And she told me that there was going to be backlash, but they're going to take care of it, and they're going to progress, and people will get what they need. They will see the safety behind my way of doing it. And and will be able to appreciate the independence that comes with this type of initiation.
Really progressive stuff. And yeah, if somebody paid for something and they put in that work, they definitely should get what they've invested for, right? And now, from what I've been
Hmm.
able to understand, um, Vodun has its roots, like you said, West Africa. I've heard Benin, Dahomey.
Hmm.
Um, based on your knowledge, what can you attest to that, and how similar is the New World manifestation of Vodun to its Old World roots in Africa?
Well, the process of how those traditions, those root traditions, the racine, as they call them in Creole, um, when the slaves were being brought over, they were young priests and priestesses
Yeah.
whose training wasn't necessarily complete.
Yeah.
So they were bringing what they knew and combining it with people from other regions, other traditions. That's why we have 21 nations of Lawaz, and that kind of represents the different areas, the different countries and tribes that these Lawaz are coming from.
Wow.
So when someone initiates, their ancestry kind of determines which ones step forward or a particular spiritual need. When I consoled, I had some pretty powerful petrol laws that step forward that usually don't step forward for foreigners that aren't of Haitian descent or Haitian blood or born in Haiti, I would say. And there was some backlash about that as well. So, but people, that's what the message from the Loas has been lately, that people, whether they're Haitian or not, don't control the Loas. The Loas will find a way to give the people what they need and to make the proper justified changes that they want within a system or even for a particular person. So I would say that the Haitian Vodou, there's a lot of particular works and magic that have developed on the island of Haiti just because of access to different herbs, animals, things like that, ingredients. Things have changed where people who practice Vodou in Africa actually come to Haiti for work because they have things that they don't have over there in particular works. So Vodou is constantly evolving, particularly because of access to different environments, different herbs, animals, plants, and different ancestors. New laws are being made all the time, particularly 𝗀𝗍𝗄𝗃s, because they're ancestors that are being elevated to the status of Loa. So they definitely maintain the connection to the roots and recognize those African roots, but it's constantly evolving.
No, I love that, man. Definitely progressive and all about the adaptability, with any Ifa, especially the Santeria aspect of things, when our ancestors came over, spiritual or blood, they made the most of what they had and they were able to survive, which I think is the biggest testament to any of these faiths. When I went to open the Botanica, my whole life has been Ifa. So when it came to Ifa, I knew exactly what to buy, invest in, and have at the store. But here in Orlando, big Haitian population, the Botanica scene definitely
Mhm.
a lot of Haitian, establishments that have been serving the community for years, wonderfully. And we just wanted to come and bring something new in as well. But it definitely was an education process on our behalf because I didn't know what 𝗃𝗃𝗃 was. I didn't know about all these different powders. I didn't know about the bottles and things like that. Can you go over some of these more commonly, like the ombre cologne? Like, can you go over some of these more commonly seen things, like the 𝗃𝗃𝗃 and the powders and the bottles, the way they're decorated, and ultimately the table? Like, what does this all mean? Because it's so beautiful, but there's so many things going on for somebody like myself who had no idea.
Well, yeah, over time, it's the Bionnet, the Revdor, the Pompeia, those basic colognes that the Loas take, like 𝗀𝗍𝗄𝗃𝗃, deity of love and luxury. She takes Pompeia. Dantor takes Revdor. Ombre is kind of general. A lot of Loas take that. It's used as a perfume, but it's also used in like consecrations and cleansings of certain things, like before we do animal sacrifice sometimes. The powders, particularly, are Haitian made. Um, I don't know the recipe for those. I don't make them. I get them. Um, but yeah, I think those perfumes, because they're French, it's what the Loires took a liking to because of what was they had access to because of what was being imported by the French. And even like the white metal bowls, even those types of things, those are imported from China. So it's kind of like what they had consistent access to of what was being imported to the island. Like Freda does take other perfumes other than Pompeia. So does Dantor. It's kind of that's where your personal connection comes in. Like over here in the States, we have access to more like high end perfumes and things. So someone's Dantor or Freda here may take other perfumes, but Revdor and Pompeia, those are staples. As far as the tables go, the tables are done when you want to honor a Loa, when we're doing fêtes, which is French or Creole for a party. The concept of the fête um, came from the original, like the poverty that was in Haiti. So that the Loas, when they do animal sacrifice, they usually, if they're coming to physically eat in possession, they're taking like an odd part of the animal that we particularly don't want or don't care for. So the animal sacrifice is being done to feed the community. Fests are supposed to be open to the public, and whoever knows about it can come because we're supposed to be feeding the people and the Loas. It's a feeding on two levels. We're strengthening spirits, we're strengthening community. Whereas we don't necessarily have that same type of issue over here where we need to do those types of ceremonies to feed the community. Um, so the purpose behind it has kind of shifted a little bit when we do fets here. And it's become more of a like social gathering things of people that practice as opposed to serving the needs of the community. Um, which is why I don't put a big emphasis on doing fets for my students. I get them to focus on their individual practice and how to feed their loas themselves rather than coming together and spending a bunch of money doing a fet. Um, yeah, does that really answer your question?
Absolutely. And we're kind of the same way with our establishment where everybody wants to go to a drumming or a tambol. And the
Mhm.
social aspect of things is nice cuz we no one likes to be alone. But we emphasize as well to everybody with us that that does not replace the study and process that has to
Mhm.
come with actually getting a result, because even though there are positive things that come with a drumming and the vibrations and all those things, it can't trump an animal sacrifice. It can't trump a prayer, an invocation, a process. So even though it's
Mhm.
great and it has its benefits, you can't get away from the meat and potatoes of what is African spirituality, which is study and practicality. So I couldn't agree more. I also want to compliment you, brother. You have real skills. I'm not sure if you're the one drawing the sigils and the signs and the powder on your page, but if
Mhm.
that's the case, they come out wonderfully, man. So I don't know if you can attest that to your engineering background, or where does the artistic influence come from within you to be able to worship, these loas, where does that come from?
Um, so I would say when I was young, like middle school age, I always envied other people that could draw really well. Um, I can't draw really well unless I'm particularly inspired to do something specific. And even like with my crystal jewelry, when I wire wrap something, whether I consecrate it for a spirit or not, it always comes out better when it has a particular purpose, like a medicine or a particular law that I'm doing it for, and I'm channeling the vision versus just, creating some things for the sake of having inventory. So I would say it's definitely like the spirits working through me. When I initiated, no one taught me like the mechanics or the nuances of how to draw a veve. They just handed me the cornmeal and my notebook of veves with the prayers, and said go practice. So me being an engineer, I think that kind of helps with like reverse engineering a process. If I can see the finished product or see it done, I can kind of figure out the mechanics of it if I practice it enough. And yeah, I think that's where my Veve skills came from. Um, just practice and figuring out, how to lay those lines and get them more accurate, whether it's a thin line, a thick line, or a curve. But yeah, I do all the Veves that are on my page.
No, really beautiful stuff. And for everybody watching, I recommend looking at Mario's page. Just so symmetrical. You can see the efforts there, and it just has energy just from being there. So now, Mario, um, you got this random person. They hear about Voodoo. They might be a little scared, but they're more interested than scared. What do those first steps look like? Is there a reading involved? How is that reading kind of conducted? Do you guys have a divination method, or is it more spiritually influenced? What are those first steps looking like for a novice?
First steps, the way that I start out with someone, because of who I am and the type of teacher that I am, I tend to draw people that their laws are already coming to them. They're having dreams, so they have an idea of what spirits are around them. But for someone that was like just interested, say maybe they had one or two dreams and they had no idea what it meant, what spirit it was, or who it was showing themselves in the dream. We do have a reading called a an escrow reading or a Loa court reading. It tells you what your primary Loas that are around you are at the time. So it's much like leukemia or 𝗃𝗏. Like you can get a reading to see, what orishas are around you, but it speaks more to who's around you and who's working for you at that time, and it can change. Um, so yeah, we do the escrow reading, and I offer mentorship classes, 2 classes a month, where I teach the dream work, how to call your loas into your dream, and then we correspond in between those 2 classes for dream interpretation, any type of work that may have come out of the dreams that they need done. And it teaches the basics of how to venerate, how to pour libations, how to connect with your lawas, what type of offerings they take, which is basic information that one should know before they jump into any type of initiation. I don't agree with like throwing people into the jebel and then they find out after the fact, who these spirits are, what they're dealing with, and what they're getting themselves into.
No, I think that education process should be there because it happens with IFA as well. These are big ticket items. There's animals, there's materials, all of these different things. And then, the person goes through it and they're like, hey, I wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't want to be a priest per se or a professional. So,
Hmm.
God forbid a pot ends up in the garbage or they never, or it's so impressive that they're like, I don't even want to be around this no more. And then, ultimately we lose as an establishment and a culture because we don't want our energies in the garbage or unattended to. So that definitely that approach is one that we take over here as well. Simply because we're all about preserving what our ancestors left us. Mario, what is a boko?
A bokor,
Yes, yes, and forgive my
um,
pronunciation.
a bokor is essentially a sorcerer, a spiritual a spiritual person that can be contracted for work. Typically, they do hitman or left hand type work.
Oh,
They don't have the same types of restrictions that an Ungan or Mambo may have in terms of the types of work that they can do. Now, that doesn't mean that an Ungan or a Mambo can't do left hand work. We're supposed to know how to work with both hands because in order to fix something from the left hand, you have to know how it was done and how it works, right? So, But if an ungan or mambo leans too heavily on left hand work and doing that kind of thing, it can cause your more benevolent loas like the radas, like Dambala, Freda. It can cause those type of loas to abandon you, and you end up having money problems and all kind of things. They stop sending you clients. There's actually a documentary on Amazon Prime called "Buying the Spirit," where an ungan in Haiti messed up and did that. He was trying to basically buy a jab, which is a contract with spirit of the dead or like a demon that he basically elevated above his ancestral laws because he wanted to do that type of work to make more money because he was approaching retirement, and it caused his laws to abandon him and shut down like any type of clients unless they absolutely wanted to help the person.
No, definitely gotta check out that that piece of film because it's interesting how things get convoluted so quickly. Because I remember in Miami, what I'm saying, unfortunately, Ifa got really infiltrated and a little polluted by the street. And
Mm.
I have a lot of Haitian friends and Haitian colleagues who have talked about the situation in Haiti right now and how spirituality is so convoluted in that as well, where we may be from rivaling factions. And just to get that upper hand, hey, we have said professional, he's kind of like a mercenary. And he's like, I'm
Mhm.
going to pay you this much, to off that guy and back and forth. And it gets really ugly really quickly. I mean, I'm not sure how tapped in you are with Haiti, being that, you're not from over there or whatnot, but I'm sure you meet people and you talk to people. Do you think that that's still occurring over there where like spiritually, things are being utilized incorrectly for an end?
Um, yeah, definitely. I mean, that happens over there. It happens over here. And it's been an ongoing thing. Even coming out of the Haitian Revolution, one of the law's requirements was that every president has to go through the Jevo. So the laws are supposed to be incorporated throughout every facet of our lives as voodooisants or voodoo practitioners. Um, so yeah, as long as there's power, there's people who are gonna wield it the way that they choose to wield it. Um, but that's not to say everyone who does left hand or destructive work or mercenary type contracts is evil, because God is duality. He's both creator and destroyer. Destruction has its purpose, but it can get out of hand. When it's not justified, and things of that nature. Um, Leading back to one of your other questions where you asked about new people coming into Haitian Vodou and the kind of fear that's around Haitian Vodou. Um, the jabs, the petrol spirits, those hotter, more aggressive spirits that are more likely to do that type of contract work, is where a lot of that propaganda and fear comes from. Yes, those spirits can be dangerous if you don't have the proper initiations, or you don't have the strength within your body to house those spirits should they try to possess you. It can cause heart problems, it can cause health problems, because some of the possessions can be very intense. So, yes, there is some safety concerns when it comes to that, but if you're not calling the Loas into possession and you're respecting them as individuals who have their own thoughts, feelings, even the destructive ones, uh, don't necessarily want to be destructive all the time. Like if you watch the TV show Lucifer, where they get into some of his human aspects and like how he gets tired of like being demonized.
Yeah.
A lot of the Loas are like that. Yeah, they do hot work, but that doesn't mean that they want to be enslaved and contracted and doing that forcibly against their will all the time. And a lot of people that work with those kinds of spirits, they don't feed them because they're scared that they'll get too strong and turn on them. They keep them spiritually bound and chained, and those spirits are getting tired of that, and that's a big problem too, within the practice of Haitian Vodou. I won't say Haiti because I can't speak on what everybody does. I've spent time in Haiti, but I'm not trying to appropriate Haitian culture or act like I know all the nuances of what goes on in Haiti. But from what the laws tell me, these are issues and why they're wanting me to change the climate of initiation the way that they've instructed me to.
No, really great viewpoints. And you brought up something that really I found interesting. So you're saying that based on a pact that happened in the Haitian Revolution, commonly the presidents or leaders of that country are usually initiated in these rites?
Yes.
That's incredible. That's really incredible, especially for that, I mean, now to be commonly known through this medium or just you being a practitioner and knowing that. Could you touch on what you've been able to, learn about that process? Because, when you hear about the Haitian Revolution, you hear a bunch of different versions, whether it was Dantor, whether it was Ogul, whether it was, there was a pig involved possibly. I don't, like, could you clarify a little bit of that history for someone that has no idea but is very interested?
Um, the version that I was told by my original godmother was that it was Dantor. Yes, that's why she's called the mother of Haiti or the mother of the Haitian Revolution. She did sacrifice a black pig,
Wow.
and the version that I was given was a a white person was skinned, and the pig from the blood wrote. She wrote the original Haitian Declaration of Independence in pig's blood on that piece of skin, and that's kind of that 𝗃𝗏𝗄𝗃 ceremony is what kicked off the Haitian Revolution. So Dantor was one of the primary spirits, but she wasn't the only one that started off the revolution. And that ceremony just marked the beginning of it. There was still years of fighting. It wasn't won overnight.
That's really intense stuff, man. I will admit, I actually have a couple colleagues that radicate themselves near the Botanica, and they see me working and stuff like that. And I think one of the best compliments I've ever gotten was that they called me a gentleman Houngan. And
Mhm.
it made me feel very warm because just they know I'm about Allow and they know there's similarities there just as far as rank and things like that. And one of them even called me the Houngan Blanc, right? Which is the Houngan of a lighter skin tone, and he
Right.
embraced me, and it was really warm because when you look at Ifa and Vodun and just the connotations and links there, how we're brothers and we're family, and just to know that there's still that respect and admiration, man. It lets us know that we're still strong. You being somebody that's pushing the agenda, pushing the envelope, trying to incorporate new things without destroying the old and what was left to us. Where do you think we're going as a collective within Voodoo, at least in your side of things? Where are you guys going? What are we trying, and where are we trying to go if it's not in the same direction?
um, from what the Lawaz had been coming to me and telling me through different possessions and things is that um, the people need to see a different way, and that the laws are still in control, and that it's not people, because people can be corrupted. Um, the laws can choose who they want to choose. You know, Anybody that's been to Haiti or knows anything about Haitian Vodou is that, a person can carry laws and be possessed without an initiation, if the law so chooses, and that person's body can handle the possession. So I think the laws are going to start, um, making some examples out of people and proving some points that these processes of initiation that have been developed, for control is not is that humans don't have the control that they think they do, and that the laws are going to start making some changes. In terms of like practitioners, voodooisans, initiation processes, making things more just and fair for the people that they're calling for initiation to be ungans and mambos, but also In terms of the training that's supposed to come afterwards. A lot of people pay thousands of dollars for these initiations and then don't get taught anything, and they end up abandoning Vodou, abandoning their laws, or jumping from house to house trying to get bits and pieces of information of what they need just to serve their laws and be functional for themselves, the reason why they even got the initiation in the first place. So once we get past those hurdles, I think we'll see some big changes once, key people in communities get the initiations and the elevations that they need and learn how to work with their laws to create, more positive changes within their communities, within government. And, it'll just snowball from there once the right people get what it is that they're supposed to have.
No, definitely. You gotta love the progressiveness because even though these are things that are very old, they have to adapt, but in a way where we're not hurting them. We're just trying to make them more digestible as much as we can
Hmm.
for the people that are interested in us. Because it can't just be us anymore. We have to open the doors. We have to grow, and we're here to help people via this science and this spirituality. So, brother, I couldn't agree with you more. It's nice to see, especially me being somebody from Miami and parts like 𝗃𝗍𝗃𝗃 and near Liberty City, where I interacted with so many practitioners from Haiti or not from Haiti that practice Vodun, and just to know there's somebody like yourself, really trying to approach it in a very logical, organized, academic way, where people are going to really be able to see that progress is really nice to know for you guys. Mario, what do you have coming up next, man? As a fellow Botanica owner, social media influencing, teaching, what's next for you?
Um, what's next, I think, is focusing on my students, focusing on these initiations, getting more people in the door, so that they can be testaments that the initiation process that local is asking me to do and the other laws are asking me to do, that they work, that people won't be able to discredit what's going on anymore, and that, they'll see the safety and the clarity in it, in these one step initiations that kind of eliminate the hierarchy, the elitism that's going on, and that multi-tiered ranking process, to just make people ungans and mambos and make them functional so that they can do what they're supposed to do in their communities and what their laws are calling them to do. So that's my primary focus for now.
Really revolutionary stuff, man. And I'm sure it's going to go well. Personally, want to thank you for taking the time to educate us, like you do for so many, and really clarify a topic that is very close to home for us, just based on culture and where we're from. And it being an episode, this is the first Voodoo episode on our channel, so we're very excited about the response from it, especially you being able to express yourself so clearly and well for people to understand, especially those that might be interested or are just coming in. What words, final words, do you have for our community on our roots, or those people that are trying to get involved now with Vodun?
My final words would be to start connecting with your ancestors, get to know who your people are, have a good reason for approaching Haitian Vodou. Um, do your background research as much as you can on, your different laws, on your ancestry, and really know for yourself why it is that you want this. What do you plan to do with it? Because, it is an energy, it can be a weapon, and, weapons can be good, weapons can be used for destruction. Know your why.
Mario, thank you so much. And for everybody that wants to get in contact with Mario, please be sure to look in the description to visit his Botanica, follow him on his Facebook page. Really great information we were able to share today. What do you think, Phil?
Wow. Like you said, this is our first episode on this today. Me completely not knowing anything. I'm like, this is one of the best ones, man.
I feel like I know something now, Phil.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like rock the red and blue real quick,
Yeah, the way you broke it down was it clearly, it was very clear. And the people who are watching, I'm sure that they're already leaving all the comments for you as well. Has been a very opening and refreshing episode. But before we get out of here,
Oh, yeah.
I do have to discuss something.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, you got me.
I got you. All right, folks. It's that time to show some love to the people who show love to our channel.
Members,
You
thank
know?
you.
Yes, if you are interested in becoming a member, click that little join button. It's literally right at the bottom of this video. On YouTube, you can join a membership program. We have 3 separate tiers that are all offering separate perks. So here we go. Shout out. We got some OGs here, man.
Oh man, I love it.
We got VIPs here. We got Robert Cifuentes.
Oh
He
my
is
God,
an OG.
Rob. Yeah, man. Loyal.
We got
man.
Miss Pierce celebrating 15 months.
Thank you. Wow.
We got Trinarican Goddess, another 15 months.
God bless you, Meha.
We
Thank
got
you.
Kathy,
Hey.
14 months.
Ashe.
And shouting out our super fans, we got Derek Jones.
Hey, Derek.
Sage.
Thank you. Yeah, God bless.
And Alexis Little.
Thank you guys so much. You're the best part of the channel. For everybody in the membership program, be sure to let somebody know about it that can gain some value. Once again, you'll be able to find Mario's information in the description so you can reach out for any questions, Voodoo related. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 just audio if you're unable to watch us sometimes here on YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe. Big thank you from all of us here at Our Roots Podcast. And until next time, see the light.
Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Mario. Bless you.
Thank you.